All right, some news just in on the eve of NFL free agency as the San Francisco 49ers are bringing back one of their own. According to Ario Meirov, the 49ers re-signing safety Tashaun Gipson to a one-year contract. We're going to talk about it. Before we discuss it, though, this is the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Make sure you subscribe because with NFL free agency beginning tomorrow, whenever the Niners make a signing, we're going to be doing shows. We'll be pushing out videos. We'll be going live regardless of where I am. Out on the road, Chat Sports Studios, or here at the crib on a Sunday night. And if you're excited for free agency to start tomorrow, I can't wait because this is one of the biggest weeks of the year for what I do as a content creator. I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. So, like I said, according to Ario Meirov, also known as My Sports Update on Twitter, Niners re-signing veteran safety Tashaun Gipson to a one-year deal. He started all 17 games last year for San Francisco. This is an organization that has said over the last couple of months, and as we've gotten closer to free agency over the last couple of weeks, how much they value him. They've wanted to bring him back. We've talked about it here on the show and why it was valuable and important for San Francisco to bring a player like this back. Not only did he play well last year, but also he's affordable. And the Niners right now dealing with somewhat of a tight financial situation. One-year deal, short term, after this past season. He had said he's going to think about retiring or if he wants to play. It didn't take long for him to decide that coming off the year that he had in 2022, he was going to give it a go once again as he is set to be 33 years old this upcoming season. Hell of a story for him and San Francisco. If you remember, Jimmy Ward got injured in the preseason last year. The Niners signed Tashaun Gipson to a contract on the practice squad right before the regular season. Then when it became clear that Jimmy Ward was probably going to miss about a month of the regular season, they start Gipson. He starts alongside Talanoa Hufanga, and he ended up having a fantastic year. Now, we're not talking about Gipson as a stiff in this league. Prior to last year, he had gone and been a Pro Bowl player, but a little bit older, signed to a practice squad, had to get a grasp of the defense very quickly. He did. He mastered it, and because of his play, this became somewhat of a controversy. Once Jimmy Ward did come back, Ward had to play slot nickel corner because they wanted to keep Gipson on the field because he was playing too well alongside Talanoa Hufanga, who was also having a fantastic year. For Gipson, legitimately last year in 2022, it was an all-pro caliber season. Passer rating allowed at his safety position, number 1 in the league among all players. Missed tackle rate, number 2. He had 5 interceptions last year, some of them coming at opportune and clutch times. 8 pass breakups. Allowed a passer rating of 53.0 when he was targeted, which is elite, and had 768 coverage snaps. He played a lot. He played really well a year ago, and for the Niners to retain him, an important move that is financially making sense, roster-wise making sense, scheme fit making sense, and he's a good player. A lot more to get to. I'm going to explain further why it's important. First, though, want to hear from you down in the comments section. Grade the signing, bringing back Tashaun Gipson, A, B, C, D, or F. With this move, Niners bringing back a veteran on an affordable deal who played great last year and is a good scheme fit, locker room fit, and now this is where it becomes interesting. What happens to Jimmy Ward? Do you draft the safety by bringing Gipson back and having him on a cheap deal and Talanoa Hufanga on his rookie contract? Are the Niners now out of the running for another safety? Or do you draft one? Because Gipson, a guy who can really help that young player along, Talanoa Hufanga credited a lot of times Gipson for how he'd been able to come along to really burst onto the scene last year as a very, very good safety in this league for Hufanga. So you can use Gipson to continue to mentor Hufanga, but also if you draft a safety 3rd round in which you have 3 picks, Niners 10 picks overall, you can get a solid player, and once Gipson maybe retires, you groom that young player, and maybe next year he steps in ideally, and he's your other starting safety. I'm not sure, though, what happens with Jimmy Ward, because at some point you might have to play Hufanga, who did get beat oftentimes in coverage, bid on a lot of things, giving up big plays, but around the line of scrimmage, look, I'm not saying this because of the Polynesian connection, but legitimately, Hufanga, with the way that he played against the run, how he was sent home on blitz packages, how he played in bunch formations along the defensive front, he was used and did play a lot like Troy Polamalu. So not sure now what happens with Jimmy Ward, because you might have to pay him a lot and Hufanga, and are the Niners bringing back Gipson knowing that he's not going to cost too much? So that's really, I think, what the plan is for the Niners with free agency starting, early tomorrow. It tells me potentially that depending on Jimmy Ward, who can cash in, let's say that Ward can make, for his market value, proving that he has versatility because he played really, really well at safety and at nickel. Malcolm Jenkins thrived in that type of role with the Philadelphia Eagles several years ago. C.J. Gardner-Johnson throughout his career, who's a Niners potential free agency target. Those guys who can play out of the slot and in the safety spot, they're really valuable to a defense because they can cover multiple guys in multiple formations, multiple looks, and you can use them as a chess piece across the football field. So a lot of people rip Jimmy Ward going to slot corner, and I understand where people are coming from, right? And why Jimmy Ward admittedly was frustrated. Slot corners don't make as much money as safeties, and Ward at the time was going into a big free agency year, final year of his contract. So do you bring Ward back, pay him a lot, and then probably he's going to play that slot role in which he played really well in? Or does this mean that Jimmy Ward is going to go elsewhere, cash in between 7, 8, 9, maybe $10 million, depending on what the market dictates? And is he going to leave and you're going to have Hufanga, Gipson, and then you draft the safety and then maybe bring in another cheap veteran? George Odom was an all-pro caliber special teamer this past year. He's kind of a backup there. So that's really what we're talking about here with the signing of Tashaun Gipson. Guy's not a stiff, right? And this guy can play, and he's proven that throughout his entire NFL career. A big reason why he was available so late in NFL free agency, just because of his age and the previous year on what was a bad Chicago Bears team. It's not like he popped, but this is a guy who you bring in who knows the defense, who is very intelligent in reading and anticipating what other offenses can do because he's just been in the league for so long, which then makes up for maybe the lack of athleticism he's lost a little bit. And then you're able to bring in a player who not only played well, but is affordable. It really is a win-win for San Francisco. Now, if you let Ward go and an injury happens at safety, then if you don't draft right or you don't address that position, it becomes a little bit worrisome for San Francisco next year. But I'm interested to see what happens now with Jimmy Ward. Is this the end, or do they plan on bringing him back, to be a part of what was last year one of, if not the best defenses in the National Football League? So make sure you subscribe to the channel when news happens this upcoming week in NFL free agency. Like anytime the Niners make a signing, anytime somebody even leaves to go to another team, we have it covered here on the show. And we're going to put out these videos very, very timely like we are tonight, because I was ready to hop on this mic, talk about Gipson, because I'm fired up to see what this team's going to do in free agency, considering they are this close to making it to a Super Bowl. Appreciate all of you for watching. Tashaun Gipson back to the San Francisco 49ers, one-year deal with free agency starting tomorrow. This is the first domino in a lot of things that are going to happen for this team over the next week.